Stefan, and Karsten. Welcome.
Hi, Nalin. Nice to
Hello.
have you on board.
Yeah, and if people are watching, you have questions, please feel free to comment since it'll pop up on our end and we'll be able to answer those questions for you. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about Human Punishment, The Beginning, a game that is coming later this month on Kickstarter. I'd love it for everyone to learn more about the game.
Yeah, so The Beginning is a hybrid game. So it is a little bit of social deduction, a little bit of semi-co-op, and a little bit of set collection. And you could say it's a little bit a new version of Battlestar Galactica, which is a really famous game.
Yeah.
But it's already really old and out of print. And so we think it's time to find a new game for this genre. And yeah, lots of new mechanics in the game, lots of new stuff. And our goal was to build the IP, to advance the IP. So we will try to bring more story to the game, more cinema feeling, more twists, and social betrayal and stuff like that. Yeah.
That sounds exciting. Wow. Okay, so there's two of you on this call today. So I'd love to learn more about what both of you do for Godot Games and for Human Punishment, The Beginning in particular, so that we can kind of dig into the games more.
So where do we start?
Yeah, so Stefan, what do you do?
So we could start with the story. We already had one game on Kickstarter. Our first game was Human Punishment Social Deduction 2.0. And in this game, you play the end of the humanity. So machines had a revolution, and the last humans fight for their life. And this game, of course, the name already says the beginning is the prehistory of the game. So you can you will play the timing when the machines start the revolution. So the machines have the secret objective. They want to bring the human punishment virus to the network of the humans. And there's a little squad, the ghosts, and they know this will happen, and they want to avoid this, of course. But this is not so easy because there are already traitors in your team, so you have no clue who could be the traitor. So yeah, and so you try to save your network, but there are some really evil things that could happen in the game because of course there are machines in your team, but there are also other teams in the game and with their other secret objectives and other win conditions. But the problem here is you have no idea which team is in the game. So there are four playable teams in the game, but you have no clue if there is a legion or a fallen or a machine at the table. So you must watch closely what's happening. Why do players doing their stuff, and what are they doing and stuff like that. So there's lots of things that can happen. And yeah, so it's really cool because you can already play this game really well with just 3 players. But because the traitor can dive really deep, and if you play tired, you will not see if there's the team A or team B in the team, and you could also already give some clues for other teams that are not at the table. But you can try to people that they think this team will be at the table, but this is not at the table. So there's lots of betrayal in this game.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are also player infections at the table. So there's one moment in the game, if you played very good, you can infect other players. So everyone close their eyes, put their hand in the middle of the table, and you can pick someone. And this player will join your team. And now this player is on your team. And this is a really great moment in the game because it's really important which player will be chosen for this moment. Will you pick a player which is really active or the opposite of this one? So what will other players think who's the new player in your team? So there's lots of things you must think about before you pick your right new player or your new teammates. So it has some really cool new twist in the game. And yeah, this is our idea. So we want to bring a little advance the mechanic of player infection and semi-co-op. And there's some really cool new ideas.
So I guess there's a few questions that come up from that, right? Firstly, how did you start creating this game? And then afterwards, I want to talk about the marketing part of it too, because there seems to be a lot that goes into this game. It must be hard to like market from all these different perspectives, right? But first, I guess, how did this game come about? Like, how did you guys want to kind of go back in history and create the beginning, and why?
Yeah, this is a really hard question, in my opinion. So, like I already said, I think Battlestar Galactica is a really, really great game in the board game industry. But it's a little bit old. It's out of print, and we love this game, but it's a little bit too much interaction of players and not so much gameplay. So gameplay is a little bit gimmick, you could say.
Yeah.
Our plan was to advance the gameplay in this genre. So we already did this with our first game, Human Punishment Social Deduction 2.0. The name Social Deduction 2.0 already tells a little bit about the story, because we always try to bring a little bit more to the genre. We're searching for special mechanics which are in other genres, and maybe we could try to bring them into another genre. So this is most of the time our plan, and we are looking for some unique twists, and I think we find some really, really cool ideas for this game. And yeah, it's really always a really, really great time. And I think Battlestar Galactica and games like Nemesis or Ghost there are a really good inspiration for the game. So
Got it. And do people have to play 2.0 to kind of understand the world that you're building before they play this game? Or is it kind of just a completely standalone game, people can be introduced to this and then go play 2.0 too?
So perfect question.
It's by no means it's not necessary, but it gives you a wider vision of the universe if you play both together. But it's a standalone thing, and you still feel the vibe and the construct of it.
Got it. Okay, so Stefan was talking a lot about like the different ways, the different mechanics and the different ways the game actually like rolls out. How do you start marketing for this? Because there's a lot going on, right? There's social deduction, there's like all this other stuff. Carson, I'd love to kind of throw this question at you. Like, what have you done to market, and how are you kind of expressing all of this?
Well, that's was the tough part indeed, because we started about 6 months ago with the marketing, and it's not that long to promote a game, but it's a very long time to keep up the hype for it. So that was our job, to evoke emotions in the players, to tell them, so this is the universe, now you get immersed in it, and to tell a story. Because I'm coming from a movie background, emotions and story are always important to me. And we wanted to reflect that in the marketing campaign, but not as a gimmick, more as a background to understand the universe in which this IP is playing.
Got it. So tell us more about tactically, like, what have been the things that you've been implementing to kind of show people how the game plays, what the game is, and getting people to, be immersed into the world?
Yeah, we had a strict concept, so we started with video trailers. And the first trailer was more like a teaser, getting into the story, into the universe, getting a glimpse of the feeling you have when you play the game. Then we built that up with a second video trailer where we uncovered where we revealed the cover of the game, but not plainly showing the cover. It was an animation that you, as a viewer, you were sucked into this street level where the explosions went off and a giant robotic hand from a mech was coming in and attacking the players. So you were middle and the right of the action. And then we zoomed out and showed the box. So that was the second piece that we had. Then 4 weeks after that, we built it up and went further into the storyline to develop, not to develop, but to explain the characters that you can play. Each character has a different background story and has different motivations. So we gave a little bit of that into the trailer too. So that was the main hype we created with these video trailers, because we thought it is a very cinematic feeling game with a lot of twists and tension. So that's very movie-like. And we thought the only thing to reflect that is really with the videos.
Got it. So the idea was pretty much building up different type, like kind of different stages in each week, right? Like doing the world, doing the game box, introducing the characters one by one by one.
Right.
And so since I have both of you on this call right now, I'd love to understand how there's a balance between game design and the marketing, right? Is game design always completely done before you start marketing or not? And like, if so, like what happens?
Well, both of them are intertwined, but game design must always stand by itself. You mustn't have the marketing affect the game design. That's our number one principle. So it wasn't completely finished because we were, Stefan can tell you that the playtesting process was very long because we wanted to polish the game until the 120% level, so that it's really every gaming session is different, but it is so balanced that you can play it with 3 players or with 6 players. Doesn't matter, because you always have the same sort of feeling. But yes, the marketing is influenced by the game design, definitely, because it depends on the mechanics you have, on the style you have, the visual style you have in the game, and the IP behind that, the universe, the story universe, all that must be reflected in the marketing campaign. So yeah, as I told you, the videos reflected that, and the banners will do that too. We have a lot of background story that we will reveal during the campaign. We can talk about too much about that, but I think the people will be excited about it.
Got it. And from your side, Stefan?
Yeah, Carsten's absolutely right. Of course, we already started at the Spiele 19 at the convention. So we already showed our first prototype, which was absolutely nothing like we'll have now. So there are so many changes in the game and so many edits. I think we changed around about 90% from this game, but the idea, the core of the game is still the same, which is really cool in my opinion. So we had an idea. We worked lots of hours for this idea. We changed nearly everything, but we found the right feeling for the game, for every player account, like Carsten already said. And I think now we have found the right spot. We are really smooth at the moment. Every game is lots of fun, and I think, yeah, this really is really great. We also produced 25 prototypes for the game, and we sent them around the world, of course. And we have lots of testers for the game. But since COVID-19, it's really hard to test games. So this was also really bad for our play sessions. This needs lots of time because players can't meet at the table, and they can't play at the moment, which is really hard for us. But we really tried every second we had for balancing, for sessions to work at the game, and I think we were just in time, you could say. So we at the moment, I would say, at 98%, and the last 2 or 3% we are all, so we are still editing. So yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up play testing, and especially during COVID, right? Especially for a 3 to 6 player game, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to kind of touch on, since you talked about having this game in 2019, right? And then you went all through 2020, playtesting it, reiterating it, and kind of making it what it is now. What was playtesting like? A lot of people who are watching are game designers themselves, and they're trying to figure out making more than a 2-player game through COVID. Like, what was this like?
I think it's really hard, but the idea is already, I think, old. We already worked 2 years ago for this idea, but this is just it's just a bad situation for a game. But it's not really bad, because 3 players are really fine in my opinion. So you can meet 2 people, I would say, with your family. You can play the game without problems. If you have a game with 10 players or more or stuff like that, I think this is really insane at the moment, and really not good for the market. But I think the players are at home, and I think they are waiting for the moment when they can play again. So I think players still pledge games on Kickstarter because they're waiting for the moment where they can play their new games, and I think this is no problem. So our player count is really really often 3 to 6 players is absolutely fine, and I think every gaming group has a good amount in this. So
what kind of tools have you been using to play test throughout the pandemic? Has it all been online? Has it been, again, like you were saying, like shipping out prototypes and bringing it back? How's that been working out?
So in our first game, we used an online version of our game on Tabletop Simulator, but this doesn't happen on this game because we didn't find the time for this, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we had such good moments, so it was just in time, you could say. So I think we did the biggest part was done before COVID-19 starts, so that was a little bit lucky for us. But in the end, our prototypes and our game testers helped us a lot. Of course, we got lots of feedback from lots of players, from lots of gamers who love Battlestar Galactica, and gamers for the target group. They are exactly the target group. This was really important for us, and I think. If they are happy with the game, I think we are happy with the game too.
Yeah.
We did not have a complete lockdown all year here, so we used every chance within legal bounds to get groups together to play it, and it worked, thankfully.
Got it. And right now, I have your Kickstarter pre-launch page up, and you have about 3,700 and more people already signed up to click, notify me on launch. Talk to us about that. How did you get to this number? What were you doing? What kind of marketing efforts were you using to get the word out there?
Carsten?
Well, we already had a strong community from the first 2 games, from the base game and the expansion, Social Deduction 2.0. So that was a core of all this, and we built upon this. So we have a lot of social media activity. We are posting very often on Facebook in different groups, but not only because we want to market a game, but because we are involved in the gaming industry and in the gaming community, to say that. So it does help a lot if you tie bonds with the gaming community and you do not force marketing on them, so to say. And that was always a way we would go, and it was clear that we would go this way because it's a more honest way to get in contact with the gaming community. And otherwise, conventions, we did no conventions this year, obviously, because of COVID-19. So that was our fear, I say, that could be a problem for the campaign. But obviously it isn't. We are very happy about that. So to put it short, yes, it was social media that helped building up the hype, and that helped keeping the contact to the community, and they all went to the page and followed us. So that's great, and we are very thankful to them that they are so interested in it, and that they think that this will be this big thing that we know it will be.
Got it. No, that's really amazing. You mentioned Facebook a lot in that conversation there. Is it purely in separate groups that you posted, or is it just your own group that you created for Godot games?
Surely we have a page for Godot games. We have a group for each of the human punishment games. But we also try to have contact in the other groups, like Board Game Revolution, Board Game Spotlight, and some German-speaking groups. So that's a lot to keep up, because we are 4 people, yes, but we all have full-time jobs too. But it is necessary to do a lot of social media outreach to generate some buzz, and that needs simple work power, manpower, man hours, I say. But yes, to answer your question, it was not only our group and our page, but also other groups where we try to talk about everything game related.
Got it. So tell us more about, like, what kind of content have you been releasing and coming up to launch? You know, we're about 20 days away from launch now. Like, what are we going to see now? What have you been releasing before? I guess from a game design perspective, and also from, you know, the marketing perspective too.
Yeah, we had a strict timing schedule. So as I told before, we had every 4 weeks we had a new video online, conceptually with different content, so that it doesn't get boring with that much videos. Today we released the how to play video. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes long, so you can understand the game in 5 minutes. But we didn't want to do the standard how to play trailer or video. So it is, yeah, visually it's in the stylish way like we did all the other videos. It's like you are watching an instructional video from the future. So you have a cyberpunk robot explaining these and that, what you have to do, and you see animations. So I think that helps a lot in explaining games visually, is the most important part. And that will be the last video before we release the Kickstarter campaign video. That will be with the campaign, obviously. Until that, we have banners that we are promoting, and that's it, obviously.
Wow. So I guess a lot of this is coming from, again, like your previous backers, like your existing community that's kind of fueling this whole entire kind of pre-marketing campaign too.
Yeah.
Perfect. Wow. So from all this, kind of what has been the most exciting part about marketing this new game, right? You've done this before, you've launched Kickstarter before. What's it like coming back again?
The most fun thing was to create this visual universe, because if you design the game, you have an idea, you don't have anything visually. So you have a theme, you have a background, then you develop the story. As I already said, Stefan wrote a lot of stuff about this universe. And that helped me art directing this whole thing, because I was immersed in the story itself. So that helped to build a visual style. And sure, you don't want to go into sci-fi cliches, but you have to do it a bit, because that's the comfortable feeling that the viewer has, because I've seen this somewhere or that somewhere, but you can't rely 100% on cliches. That's a bit boring. So this to keep this balance was the most interesting thing for me, I think.
Got it. And Stefan, like a lot of people who are watching this, you know, are game designers themselves, right? A lot of people want to work with a marketing professional or work with someone to help do the marketing part. They focus on the game design part. I'd love to learn from your perspective, like a game design perspective, what kind of back and forth do you have with Karsten here? And also, like, what kind of things you do want to impart on other game designers too when it comes to the marketing for a game?
I think you must know your target group, of course. I think we really know our target group. So they are loving our first game, Human Punishment, Social Deduction, and now our new game is in the same universe, but it's a completely different game. It's a standalone game. So we connected both games with a new system. We call this Connected World system. And this helps a lot because you can play both games together at one night as a one-night campaign, you could say. But they are completely different games. And this is really unique because you can play the beginning. You should start with the beginning. And afterwards, there are lots of outcomes in the game. And every outcome is a new starting point for Human Punishment Social Deduction 2.0. So you can play game A, and then you can go over to turn to play game B. And this is really new. And I really, really hope lots of new developers and publishers will do something like this, because I love to advance world building and stuff like this. I think it's really cool if you have lots of games in the same universe, but it's really, really more awesome, you could say, if there's a combination of both games, of more games like this. So I don't need a campaign with lots of hundreds of hours, because I don't have time with a little child in my house. But if I can have a really good time with a campaign on one night with 2 games, this is absolutely cool. And I think lots of people understand this point of this situation. Lots of people have children and not so much time. Sometimes players don't want 100 hours of gameplay. They just are satisfied with 10 hours of gameplay, in my opinion. So if you have 10 good hours, it's absolutely perfect, in my opinion. And I think this is a really, really important thing. Of course, the timing is also really, really important. For some days ago, Cyberpunk was released on PC and consoles, on Steam, and so on. And of course, Cyberpunk, the game is from the setting here, something which is really in the same could be in the same universe as Human Punishment. So Cyberpunk has lots of hype at the moment, the genre, and I think we have a really good spot here that we are in the same time range. But this is just it was not planned, of course. They developed their game 7 years. We couldn't plan this, so this was that was not possible to predict. But the timing, of course, is really important to find a good spot. We must see if the market is fine, if there are lots of games in the same genre. Maybe it's not a good timing to start your game, of course, but I think at the moment, in January, we have a really good spot here. And for our genre, I think we are at the moment the only one for a deduction and semi-co-op game. So yeah.
Timing, that's a really big topic. How did you all pick January as a launch month for this game?
Well, there are different aspects to it. Sorry. First thing is that you have this big break from, I say, mid-November to end of December, where not that much games go online on Kickstarter, because most people have other things on their mind, like Black Friday, Christmas presents, some things like that. So in January, people are hot on Kickstarter, so they want to spend money there. That's one of the things. The other thing is a scheduling thing. So because the most important trade show for us is Spiel at Essen, and you have to plan in advance. If you want to have your product there, you have to calculate back the times. So you have shipping times from 6 to 8 weeks, you have production times, you have proofing times, and that tells you strictly that you can't launch later than March, probably, to have a product there. And that was something we had in mind, because if you publish a game 1 year and you can't sell it or show it at the trade show in October, then it's a lost opportunity. So we had this corridor from January to March where we could launch the campaign, and we didn't fix it from the beginning. We said we'll start the marketing in summer, and let's see in autumn where we are, where we stand, and then we'll choose the date. So, and we were sure about it, that we are strong enough to select a January spot.
Got it. And you mentioned strong enough. What kind of, I guess, key performance indicators, KPIs, or benchmarks do you look at to say that you're strong enough or not strong enough? I'd love to kind of discuss that, because a lot of people want to know when they're ready, right? When is ready?
Sadly, I must say it's more of a gut feeling most of the time. But if you say you're looking at numbers, well, it's definitely the number of followers you have on the Kickstarter preview campaign page. It's the number of newsletter subscribers you have, number of interactions on postings you have, numbers of direct contacts via messenger, email, something like that, where people are writing to you and asking things about the game, what I find very exciting, because they don't know that much about it and they're seeking contact. So these are the most important indicators for us to say, yeah, no, we're feeling this is the right moment. I think just to have a specific number on any indicator, I think you can't measure it directly with only one indicator. You always have to have several indicators, and the threshold you have to set for yourself is pretty difficult to balance. So yeah, that was just a moment where I thought it feels right, because there are no experience values where you can say, well, if you have at least 500 followers, you're funded, definitely, or something like that. It all depends on several factors. But our goal was to have at least a 4-digit number of followers. So that means more than 1,000. Now, as you already said, we're about approaching the 4,000. That's awesome. We didn't dare to expect something like that. So that tells us that the community is believing in us, and that's a great feeling.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you talked about a lot of different numbers you're looking at. Like you talked about email list, you talked about like engagement on posts, you talk about the follower count on the Kickstarter pre-launch page. When you're setting out goals for marketing and things like that, do you usually set out like a tangible, like you said, four-figure number for the pre-launch page, X number for emails, Y engagements, Z comments? Do you do that, or like how does goal setting work for you?
Yeah, like Carsten already said, it's a little bit of just a feeling. You just need a feeling for this. It's Kickstarter. You have no sense of a successful campaign before you launch. Of course, you have just a feeling about everything, about the right moment, about the right followers, about everything, about your product. Of course, you can just think hear about your feelings, and we are all thinking it's a good moment. We think we are ready, and we prepared lots of stuff. The campaign was so full of stuff. I can't already give you any information here. So, but there's so much we will do for the campaign with videos, and I just can say if you're online, just go online and look what we will launch there. We have lots of stuff, lots of Kickstarter exclusive material, but not gameplay content. So just component content. This is really important for us. We want all players should have the same material to play, and there's nothing to lose. Sometimes you have games where stuff is missing because you don't have the exclusive stuff from Kickstarter, which is really sad, and so the game could be a little bit not so great. And but this is not our style. We will bring everything which is in this campaign will be on retail and in our game, but everything which is exclusive will just be a component material, so much more for table presence, but not for gameplay, because gameplay is 100% in all our games. So this is our so this is our choice.
That's a tough thing, because it don't matter how high your numbers are, you don't have any security how the outcome will be. So that's the exciting thing about it, because we are approaching the 4,000 followers, but who knows? Maybe the campaign doesn't found. Everything is possible, and that's very hard to pinpoint specific numbers. But the higher the number, the lower the risk of failure.
Yeah, I like that you talk about that, because even you both have launched and funded games already, right, before, and you're still feeling that kind of, I guess, nervousness, excitement coming up to a project. And I think that's what a lot of people launching their first games also feel, that nervousness. Like, am I doing enough? Is this a big enough number? Am I going to get funded? Are people going to like the game? Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah, I think this is, especially in my case, it's my background, since I'm working now 25 years in the media business, and to bring excitement to people, that's awesome. To make people happy with a game, a movie, whatever. And this excitement flows over to myself. So I'm always excited about the premiere and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a lot of tension in there too, because, as I said, you don't know the outcome. And it's like a bit like gambling, but not that much gambling, because otherwise you say, oh, the numbers are high, it could be better than we think. And then you think, well, failure is always an option, but no, it can't happen. It's always this yin and yang you have in your head.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's no 100%, no, not at all. So if you're playing poker, you have two kings in your hand, but all your other players could have two aces. You have no idea what's going on, but you're just doing your best with your hand, and so you must play it, right?
Yeah, no, like it's basically like there's that excitement, that nervousness, but you've done a lot to prepare, and it's kind of just diving in with what you've done and knowing that you've prepared, you've done the work and put in the legwork to like play test the game, make sure it's all balanced and market, get the word out, and kind of just do it is kind of the next step, pretty much. And from here, I wanted to kind of ask, like, what is kind of the biggest learning from launching a first game and now coming to a second another crowdfunding campaign now? Like, what kind of learnings would you like to impart on people who are listening, who are also looking to launch a game, designing a game, marketing a game?
So my first advice for every game designer is start with a card game. This is always the best tip I can give all people, because it's easy to produce. There you can't do so much wrong with just cards. So find a good mechanic for yourself. Look in your genre. Look at the best 10 games. Look if you can find something which could be there, which is some part is missing in the top games, and this is the best thing, in my opinion, to find a good spot for your game or for your idea. Yeah, I think this is the best part. And of course, your second game, if you try to advance to bring more variety and more stuff to your target group, of course you can start with a bigger game. This exactly is our plan. So we started with a card game. We made an expansion. We had a really great success on Kickstarter, in my opinion. And now it's a good timing to bring a bigger game with more stuff. It's really, really great if you see the game. There's lots of content and cardboard stuff and some other cool stuff. And yeah, I think it's you should always start small, and you can advance always. But I think it's not a good idea if you start with a really big project, because you just need your first followers and your first crowd. You must build your crowd, of course, with lots of stuff, and this needs time. And I think we did this for over 2 years now, and we are thinking we are now in the final spot to do such a great game. Yeah. And
another rule is, I think, or a lesson we've learned is that the customer is king. Definitely here too, because sure, you want such a game to be a financial success, but you can make components cheap and not so cheap, and more lavish or more extraordinary. And our thing is that we say we want the best possible product for the gamer, because we are all hardcore gamers ourselves, and we love good produced games. So that's always a thing, that the financial success is secondary. A top-notch product is prime.
Got it. No, that's really great, like kind of lessons to leave us with today. And before we go, like, when do you launch? When can we expect this to go live? Tell us everything.
So January 25 is our date. And this is a Monday, which is really exciting, because most of the campaigns normally will start on Tuesday. So this is not the normal way, but we think we have a good timing here, and so this is our plan. Yeah.
Got it. January 25th. What time do you launch?
Oh, this is a good question, Carsten.
Not sure yet. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, we will keep in touch about this, and then you can actually come back to the video and just let us know in the comments too, when you find out what the exact time you'll be expecting the launch to happen.
Yeah, but we will be so active. You will see our campaign. So So this is no problem.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for your time and for coming on today. And if you haven't yet, to all the listeners out there, go check out Human Punishment. It's linked underneath the video or above the video. And you can go to their Kickstarter pre-launch page and click notify me on launch. And yeah, thank you, Stefan and Carson, for being here and for talking to us about the game.
Thank you for having us.
Having us on the show.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.